another twist of the story that emerged today. One of the women in the Petraeus case is of Lebanese descent. Now, you may say, well, so what? What does that mean? Aren't you being somehow geographist? Well, I don't know. What do you make of that? The lady named Jill Kelly, the woman at the center of the currently unfolding drama that is shaking the U.S. government and the military to the core, is of Lebanese origin. Her maiden name is Kawan. Now, you may say, well, that doesn't mean she's guilty of being a spy. No, certainly it doesn't. But who is she? Who is Jill Kelly, the woman who threw parties in Tampa for top brass? What does she have to do with Petraeus and General Allen? Well, let's ask these questions. Who is she? Who is Jill Kelly, maiden name Kawam, from Lebanon? How did she get to interact with top U.S. brass in the Middle East? Why would a surgeon and his wife buy an extremely expensive home near a military base and immediately make themselves into a social hive with the top brass? Where'd they get the money from? He's only a surgeon. He's not particularly wealthy. He's working for a university clinic. He's a family man. Where'd he get his money from? Because guests said that the parties were quite extravagant that the Kellys threw in Tampa, Florida. You know where Tampa is, don't you? Well, you know it's in Florida. But do you know what is in Tampa that you may not know? You know all of our drones that fly all over the Middle East and elsewhere? It all comes out of a command post in Tampa. The boys with the computers are down in bunkers under the ground in Tampa. It's the nerve center of most of our military operations in Tampa. So now you have a woman. No one ever heard of her. They moved to Tampa. They don't have much money. They put on social galas for the military and government operatives. And they say the social galas seem to spare no expense, guests said. Often featured copious buffets, valet parking, string quartets, premium cigars, champagne. And while they were throwing, listen to this, while they were throwing glamorous parties, the Kellys, meaning Ms. Kawam, racked up substantial debt, prompting banks to initiate foreclosure proceedings on 2 properties. Wow! So what's the motivation here? But there is something odd about their access to top military personnel that certainly should set off alarm bells, right? Now, a military officer who was a former member of Petraeus' staff said Ms. Kelly, you may know her as Ms. Kawam, Ms. Kelly was a self-appointed go-between for Central Command officers with Lebanese and other Middle Eastern government officials. Kelly was a fixture at social and charity events involving Central Command officials in Tampa. The officer said Kelly's presence was often a bit puzzling to Petraeus' staff, but there was never any indication that her relationship with the general was anything more than social. Now, one of the most liberal sites out there, one of the sites that's nothing but pure and unadulterated Pravda-esque propaganda for Obama, is implying that this Jill Kelly, who is of Lebanese origin, should have been investigated by the FBI because it seems to them, the left-wing fanatics, the bootlickers for Obama, that they were a threat to our national security. Left-leaning Daily Kos is now building the case that Ms. Kelly's actions are suspicious and that if she was not in the employ of a foreign intelligence service, something else is going on here. Now, remember, the Daily Kos is one of the most despicable sites in the world. It's something that Joseph Stalin would have set up. It's something that only George Soros could be proud of. This is the same website that called Michelle Bachmann's investigation into Congressman Weiner's wife, Huma Abedin, a witch hunt, despite her tangible connections to the Muslim Brotherhood. Did you know that? Old Weiner, who showed his wanger, was married to Huma Abedin and still is, and Huma Abedin has tangible connections to the Muslim Brotherhood, which is one of the reasons that old Weiner was thrown out of office because of his exposure on a double level. So he didn't just get thrown out of office because of the exposure. He got thrown out of office because there was a connection to the Muslim Brotherhood through Huma Abedin, according to Michelle Bachmann. Yet the Daily Kos called that a witch hunt. But they don't call this a witch hunt. They now say that General Petraeus of the CIA and General Allen would be top targets for foreign intelligence operations, right? And through pillow talk, some of the details of U.S. military actions or of even spying would benefit some of these countries. Now, we don't know whether Petraeus had some pillow talk with whatever her name is. I've forgotten already, Ms. Wellbroad. By the way, there's another subtext to Ms. Wellbroad. Wellbroad is missing. Her license was found in a park near her home. I'll repeat that. Wellbroad, when I went on the air, Wellbroad is missing. Wellbroad's driver's license from North Carolina was found in a park near her home. Sounds eerie, doesn't it? I know what fiction is. People couldn't write this in fiction. You have a suspicious president who half the country believes is a Muslim. Half of that half believe that he's allied with the Muslim Brotherhood. Half of that half believe he does not have the interests of America at heart. And now you have this blowing up in our face, where 3 to 4 generals are thrown under the bus a few days after the man is elected.